Welcome to Soft Cock Appreciation Week 2024. I invite you to get comfortable as you join us for what I like to call cockversations, discussions, or grown folk putting their heads together and sharing ideas in authentic and real ways. Now be aware we don't hold back in our language, and what follows is not for overly sensitive or easily kerfuffled ears. And before we dive in, remember, what is shared here is not meant to be, nor is it a replacement for medical advice. Whenever you notice changes in your body or that of a loved one, especially in how the penis is functioning, please seek out medical consultation. What the penis is saying could literally save a life. Thank you for supporting us. If you take away something useful from this, please let us know, write a review, spread the word, and keep coming back for more. Are you ready? Let's do it. Hello, hello. Welcome to Soft Cock Appreciation Week 2024. I'm Erica Leroye, your hostess, and I am so excited to have two amazing people joining us for this celebration of all things softness, right? That it's okay to show up exactly how you are and get lots of pleasure, and also at the same time to listen to our bodies and learn what it is that our bodies might be having to tell us when we do show up for pleasure and things just might not be exactly the way we thought they were going to be. And that is the essence of Soft Cock Appreciation Week, and also just that we love the softness of men, right? That 90% or more of the time men are walking around soft and we just love them. So we'll love them to death. Or as Soft Cock Appreciation Week is, we are trying to love them and to stay alive. Right? So today we have JetSetting Jasmine and King Noire. Our paths crossed about a year and a half ago. I attended a Sexual Health Alliance weekend conference that JetSetting Jasmine curated. And it was an incredible weekend where we went through parenting issues, aging, bringing in a whole spectrum of how to be a sexual human being in the world. And you really validated for me so many of the things you validated and named so many of the things that I personally was struggling with around what does it mean to have your sensual, erotic, sexual self merge completely with just who you are in your day-to-day life, and also really relish being a full-bodied play enthusiast. How to be kinky as fuck, I think is your expression.
Being kinky as fuck.
How to age and be kinky as fuck. And out of that, I really felt like, wow, this is a woman who has so much wisdom and can really help me in my journey to ground into the work of being a sex educator, a sex performer, and a sex enthusiast. JetSetting Jasmine and King Noire have really been leading the way in the work of sex education, representation, and pornography / erotica / creative media, and tying all of that in a way that personally I haven't seen anybody else doing. I was so excited to reach out to you to have this conversation today. And we're going to be talking about what happens in film, what happens on a porn set, what happens in the world that most people are experiencing just from the point of view of voyeur. And you're going to share with us today, and we're going to have some conversation today from a point of view that I think a lot of people struggle to crack the code and understand more of what it is that they're seeing and what it is that they're feeling in relationship to what they're seeing. So that's kind of the overview. Would the two of you just share with us your way of introducing yourselves?
I'm everything that you said, so thank you. So I hope I am. If I'm not, I would love to just live up to that bio. Thank you. Jasmine here.
Nice. My name is King Noire. I am an erotic entertainer, performer, director, producer. I'm also a writer, artist, activist, and partner to this amazing woman, and father, son, and It says bad motherfucker on my wallet.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so before we get into the conversation, one of the things that sometimes comes up around Soft Cock Appreciation Week is that cock isn't a word that everybody resonates with or feels is their word. Is there a word that you each prefer, or just that you want to bring into the conversation today? Where are you at with cock?
You can use it. I'm fine hearing it. Out of my mouth, it's usually dick, penis.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Great. Okay. So we'll hang out with I've been hanging out with dangling dick appreciation.
Dangling dick appreciation. Okay. Yeah.
I like a little alliteration. Good. Okay. So let's just dive into the first question that as soon as I thought of bringing the two of you on, this is the question that was number one. So I hear from my clients all the time. I don't believe you, Erica, when you say that people, women, men, partners are okay with me not always being hard while we're having sex, because if that was true, I would see that in porn. And because I don't see it, that means that what you're telling me is wrong. Now, there's a lot of ways to unpack, that question or that statement, but let's start out with what actually is like the day in the life of a penis on a porn set? Are you hard all the time? Is the penis ever soft? What's happening that you can break through that piece of the myth?
Hold on, let me interview.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, please.
I think it's important for people to know that porn is capturing a moment. Usually, well, maybe 70 to 80% of the porn that you see is literally starting while people are aroused and having sex. So porn isn't starting when you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth. So there's a lot of pressure, I think, especially for people who have penises to be like, oh, when I turn on porn, dick is hard. And I will also say that on set, for most sets, I will not speak to Royal Fetish sets because we'll get into that in a minute also. But most sets that I'm on for other companies, they'll tell you before the cameras are on, get your dick hard or make sure your dick is hard because they want the pants pull down or the pull out of the penis to also have that kind of reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that does put pressure on people to always kind of be like, well, when my partner first sees my penis or when my partner first engages my dick or something like that, that it should be hard. And that's not realistic. Especially it's like you live with your partner or you're in space with your partner or sexual partners or whatever, and you're doing other shit that has nothing to do with sex. Yeah. Right? So as someone who has a penis, I think your percentage was pretty on point. Like 90% of the time, my dick is on chill. Like, it's like, we don't got to do nothing right now other than maybe piss or something. And we can't be hard for that because the way science set up our bodies is to make sure that, we don't cross-contaminate important fluids. So I think it's important to keep that in your mind that, it's relaxing, it's chilling because it's got important shit to do when it's hard later. So it's got to preserve its energy. Think of like a male lion. The male lion sleeps like 90% of the day before it goes out there and does anything. Right. So I like to tell people I talk to, think about it in that way. Now, as for our set, we like to show, like, personally, sexually, I like to feel my penis grow in somebody's mouth. That shit is sexy as hell because for me personally, there's also the part of like, I like being able to be all the way in somebody's mouth. And when I'm hard, there's not many people who can do that. So I like the feeling of being in there. So it's another thing to think of, like, on our set, we do like to show growth or arousal or
try something different.
Yeah, just show something new, show something
Yeah.
different. But I do
Yeah.
think for a lot of the companies that people see, there is that they want that pop out factor.
Yeah,
That's
I
such a
think
great point.
I am not a penis owner, but for someone who watches them during their workday, there are some folks that do use some supports to be able to adhere to that pressure. And over the years, I've seen different forms of that, from using rings to, help engorge the blood in a particular area, to having some private and alone time to stimulate themselves. Thankfully, we've moved away, or hopefully are moving away from having someone else support you to prepare to have sex for the
You're
camera.
talking about the old school fluffer.
Fluffer.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully I think we are moving away from that in a big way.
There's a lot of up, down, hard, soft, because so like on certain sets that I've worked on, it might be a 8-hour workday and you shoot pictures in the morning, you shoot promos in the afternoon, and then you're shooting a scene at night. So there is time when you're supposed to be hard. There's times when you're supposed to be soft. And a lot of that, there are people who do everything that Jasmine just said. But even with any supports that you have, there's still a mental aspect of it where this is when it becomes a job. You don't just show up and you're horny, you fuck, you leave. That's not how it works. You have to perform. You have to mentally be able to like, okay, it's time to chill now. Okay, it's time to be up now. So there is a certain pressure on that as well. So I do think for people who are at home and they're just kind of judging themselves on porn, and guaranteed the people, well, not all of the people you speak to, but most of the people you speak to are probably also watching short ass clips on Twitter or Pornhub or X videos or something like that. They're not even watching the acting part that leads up to the people having sex either. So you're literally just turning it on during the part where people are fucking.
That 10% of that workday, right?
Yeah, so you're putting a pressure on yourself that we as performers don't even have. So you can relax, you can chill, you can fall back and take some of that pressure off of yourself.
Boy, there's a lot of things in there that I have questions about. So for you, King, another thing that I notice with the clients that I work with is that they have this incredible fear around taking a break, stopping. And this is, Jasmine, for you too. The question is for both of you. So one of the things that comes up is, I'm so afraid that I'm going to lose my erection, that I'm not going to change positions. I'm not going to stop and go to the bathroom. I'm not going to stop the action because I'm so afraid that if there is like a waning, right? I think of it like an ebb and flow, that, if there's some subsiding of the erection, I'm not going to get it back. And so I'm going to just push through rather than make adjustments. But what you're describing is that, which is the kind of sex that I like, which is if we have a whole day of being together, there may be some times where, we're doing this and sometimes where we're doing this, and then we're going to chill, we're going to eat, but we're going to be able to come back. And so what are some things that you both do to keep in that flow state and keep in that arousal energy so that you can chill and you can turn back on?
Can I answer this one? Yeah. Oral. Personally, love to use my mouth, and nothing makes me harder than eating pussy. Like, it makes me hard.
Yeah.
I love to do it, and with my partners who have penises, I love to suck dick too. So it's such a turn on for me. I'm also I like conversation I like laughter. I like ranging from talking shit and just laughing to intellectually, sexually stimulating conversation. And really, just like I mentioned earlier, if you have to urinate, you should do that. Because just
Right.
even I mean, a lot of times people will say to women, yeah, you have to do that to, flush out your men. We have to do that too. You don't want to hold in anything. You want to flush it out, and that'll actually help you with your sexual health and your physical health for the next time you want to get hard anyway. Like I know there are some people who are like, yeah, in the morning I get the piss erection, but you still want to go urinate. Like, it's very important that you do that.
I love breaks with everything that I do, with everything. Like, if I could do everything longer, if there's some breaks built into it. I think it gives another opportunity, or like more opportunity, to like assess like what we can do next. It's a nice time to just sort of like check in with yourself. Okay, I feel comfortable. You feel comfortable? Okay, I could sort of construct where we're going next. Breaks are good. They're important. For going to all of that stuff. It's like, if I have to go to the bathroom, that is going to make for more space and less discomfort, and that means health and all of those things. So on set, I'm very vocal about like, can we take a break here? All the time. Can we take a break? Oh, that doesn't feel comfortable. Okay, maybe I need some more lube here. Give me a toy. I think I need a toy. Like, we're very, very, very vocal. And we also encourage the people that are supporting us in those spaces to, if you see something, say something. So we are fortunate in that way to have extra hands and feet sometimes to support us. But we encourage our performers, like, if for any reason, even emotionally, if you need to take a moment, if you need to take more than a moment, like whatever it is that might be a barrier to you performing in the best way that you can. And performance, like, we feel we get the best performance when people are comfortable.
Right.
So, and I feel that way, even though things are not perfect on other sets, that there is some effort, at least, whether it is hiring a PA on set or an intimacy coordinator or something, to just help people have even just the know that there is someone else that's there to support you, or that breaks are built in. And we don't have that in our personal lives. So it is important for us to really think about, like, if these things make porn performers perform so well that I want to be that, then what type of supports do I need to put into my sex? What type of breaks do I need to build into my pleasure, so that way I can perform the way, that people say they want to anyways?
Yeah, I think being able to take a break. I mean, personally, I love sex that lasts as long as possible. And one of the ways to make that happen is by taking breaks to do things that help keep your body up. You know what I'm saying?
Hydrate.
You need to hydrate. You might want to eat some fruit. You know what I'm saying? Feed your partner some fruit, whatever the case being. So on set, taking breaks is important because, watch porn. Most of the time, we're not fucking in a bed.
Right.
So you might need to take a break because the thing you're fucking on is about to break, literally. So you got to take a break before it breaks. Or
you decide
you don't want to break yourself because you're in a position that's super uncomfortable. But personally, also, like you mentioned, switching positions and losing your erection. For me, switching positions actually helps maintain an erection, because maybe the position that you're in is uncomfortable for you. So now you're focusing on that cramp in your body, or the position you're in might not be the greatest for how you feel. Or you might want to get a better view, and what turns you on is being able to see. Or it's not great for your partner, so then you're in your head like, oh, why aren't they responding the way I would like to share in this pleasure, or something like that. So sometimes switching positions is the best thing that you can do, because oh, now you're in a position, and just that little change of, friction, or that little change of feeling and pleasure that you're going to get is going to help you focus on where you are instead of anything else that's going on.
Exactly. One of the things that I've learned over the years is, I like to think about what's going on hormonally during arousal, and dopamine likes novelty, right? And what I see a lot of times with men where they're afraid of losing their erection and changing positions is that, that fear, just even saying that, I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my erection, then you've got cortisol and adrenaline, coming to your sex party. And the and the way that I encourage people to, when I'm like, let's bring some more positioning in, and I encourage that because it's a really great way when the mind starts to come in with that, like, oh no, I'm going to lose it, is to then switch positions so that you're looking at your, like you said, King, you're looking at your partner differently. It's a different angle. Oh, I've been looking at ass, now I'm going to look at boobs, or now I'm going to, be touching, now I'm going to be able to do more back touching and bring in something else. And that actually kicks in the, oh, there's a little extra dopamine going, and the penis likes dopamine. It helps to, keep it engorged. So that's we'll talk more about this also as we get into more things about performance, because what I really love watching all of your movies is you have incredible choreography. It's just like the movement that happens that feels like just so delicious and playful, but it's, there's like some good acrobatics going on too, and some really interesting, that's you're pointing to King. I don't know, Jasmine, you definitely get your body moving all over the
2
place.
seconds that I'm holding those though.
But you only need to do an 8 count for each, right? Like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, go, 2, 3, right? Switch it up, right? You're the whole stage is being traversed. Uh-huh. So the other question I have for you, King, just connected to what, this piece about a day in the life on set is, are there, like, what are the things that you've done in like your own inner dialogue with your penis to prepare, like, or is there, like, how do you kind of get in the mode of, it's going to be okay to be totally on and totally chill? Like, do you have any kind of personal practice that has helped you make a different kind of relationship with your penis, so that even though you're asking your penis to perform, I'm assuming from watching you that the relationship that you have with your penis is positive?
I will say this for everybody: there are good days and there are bad days.
Mm.
And those good days and bad days have absolutely nothing to do with the relationship to my penis. We get along great. It has it has more to do with my relationship to the world, to be honest with you. And the thing about this being a job is there are days when you have to show up to work despite a whole lot of other factors that could be not conducive to feeling sexy or even wanting to have sex. And I think that as I've gotten older and more in tune with my body, I am realizing that it is more important for me to let my job know that there are sick days,
Mm.
and there,
Mhm.
and there are mental health days, and those days I have to be able to communicate better. Because there are definitely days when I have showed up to work and it has been like, you know what, y'all gonna have to get somebody else today. I shouldn't even be here. And when we think about it in our personal life, there are days and there are times that we might need to communicate with our partner. Today's not a good day for me.
Mhm.
Today's a day where powering through might not be healthy for me. Might not be healthy for anybody. Now, as for days when I do have to power through, there is for me the conversation of like, we're here, this is what we do. Let's get to work.
Mhm.
But that's not something that you should pressure yourself with in your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
In your personal life, you want to be here. You want to be with the persons from thruples to orgies that you might be with, right?
Yeah.
And in those kind of situations, it really is the conversation of, we want to be here. So if you need to have that conversation with your dick, like, we want to be here. The person who is here wants to be here with us, or people who are here want to be here with us. So relax, have a good time. And there isn't a pressure to have or maintain an erection, because people are there to spend time with you and your penis in whatever form you were in at that moment. And your erection will show up when it's time.
Yeah.
And I think that having that kind of conversation with yourself, also, men, don't be so dick focused. You have hands, you have a tongue, you have a chin. Some people like feet.
Yeah, money.
Some people are, well, we're not going there. Some people like to ride your leg, whatever. Like, there's so many body parts that you have that if you're focused and you provide those body parts to your partners, your dick is gonna show up, because your dick's gonna be like, oh shit, they getting off on the knee. I want a part of that. You know what I'm saying? The novelty, like you just mentioned. So I think that's important. And then also, just, if you are there to realize, like, I'm here to provide pleasure to my partner, to my partners, and for me, an audience, because I'm a super exhibitionist. Like, that part turns me on. So the rest of my body shows up for that, because my mind knows that we're here to provide pleasure. We're here to put on a show. We're here to perform. All the rest of it is kind of like, okay, the rest of us is going to show up for that.
That's so important too. One of the things we've been talking about as part of what we're sharing this week with Soft Cock Appreciation Week is learning what turns you on and owning it and being good with it. And again, that's one of the things that I enjoy, on your site is, it's really clear that you know what you like. Right? That there's authentic enthusiasm that you can, for me watching you, it's palpable. It doesn't feel like that sort of canned, are they enjoying it? Are they not enjoying it? Like that the things that you like, you clearly really like and know. And there are a lot of people who either are nervous about exploring, what it is, or there's a lot of shame or a lot of, I hear this a lot, is it okay that I like to wear women's panties? Is it okay that I like to be watched? Is it okay that I like to watch myself? Like, what does that do? Does that make me a narcissist? Like, so I really appreciate you saying that, because I think especially for people with a penis, learning what turns you on and owning it and seeking it out is part of what helps with arousal and erectile health, as opposed to, I'm supposed to show up in my pants hard, and the person who's with me is just supposed to like take what it is that I'm offering and not participate with the process of turning me on. Right.
Yeah, I think it's very important to be yourself unapologetically, in the sense that who you are, as long as it's consensual, you leave children, animals, and people who can't say no or do say no out of it. You're good. You're an adult. You're allowed to enjoy your body. You're allowed to consensually enjoy other people's bodies. You're allowed to be there and let your freak flag fly as much as you want, in the spaces that you're in and sharing with other people. And with Royal Fetish Films, we do not. So, like, there's some sites that are known for, like, hey, we do this sexual act. So anybody that we employ on our site is going to do this sexual act. And in our industry, people are trying to feed themselves, feed their families, and keep a roof over their head. So there are people who will be like, you know what? I'm going to go on this site, even though that particular act isn't what I enjoy. I'm willing to do it to get this check because I need this check or the audience that this site will bring to me. For us, we speak to people ahead of time, all the time. What are you into? What do you enjoy? What don't you like? What do you want to not have? Like all those tools that we pull out for BDSM, we always tell people, which of these do you want me to put away so that we can play with the things that you like? And if you can put that into your own personal life, like think of all the, it's good to eliminate the things you don't like. Talk about the things you do like. And if there are things you're interested in and want to explore, do so in a safe way with someone who knows how to do that shit, especially if it can be dangerous. But that's why you see pleasure on our site. That's why you see pleasure with us. We've been in a relationship for 12 years and we still talk to each other. Hey, what you into right now? What turns you on right now? Sometimes we'll even just whisper in my ear something that you like. Text me something that you've been watching. Yeah. We tell people, text what you've been watching that is on Royal Fetish. You know, that helps. But no, I think it's important to keep that conversation going, especially within our relationships. And if it's somebody that's new to you, it's a way to get to know somebody and then not have to break that shit out right when you're about to be in a sexual situation, because that will take your nerves on high and release all of the things that I like how you said that you don't want to invite to your sex part.
I want to highlight too for people that on one of the things that I, again, looking at your site, one of the things that I really appreciate is that you have often before a film a little that conversation, so that you're modeling right from the get-go how those conversations even happen. And that's not something like every once in a while on some other sites you might see like afterwards they might have a little of like the outtakes or the bloopers, but I really, why did you make that choice? Because that's a really, it's a very profound choice to have up front. This is how we're talking, as a group of, performers, but just people who are about to engage in something together.
A couple of reasons. Royal Fetish Films is about changing the experience that people have with adult entertainment. So that's number one. It's like you are watching entertainment and you should kind of know how it was put together, right? You should know that what you're watching is you're about to engage with people who want to engage with what you're about to see, right? We don't really think about this in entertainment, but we get notifications of someone being chosen for a role in a movie. Oh, wow, so-and-so is going to be in that. Like, so we know like, oh, they have taken this job. They are preparing to be this character. We get excited. We start even fantasizing about like, I wonder how they're going to do in that role. It's, you start to think about, I wonder if it's going to be better than the last time. Like all of these kind of things but we have access to that information. It allows us to even for sports, we say, oh, he's not happy with that deal. He's still got to be on that team. It makes you kind of feel different about watching him every Sunday or Monday. With this entertainment, we know nothing. We know nothing about these people. We don't know where they came from. We just see the insides of their body. Like you said, they get right into the they tune in at 26 minutes in, right? So why not? Why not show this consent up front so that you're now engaging with a human being that is doing what they would like to do, that you are agreeing to watch, right? This is also an opportunity for us to educate people beyond the caption. So the caption will tell you, for the most part, what you're going to see, what's included. A lot of people don't get to read all that when you're in the middle of the desire to pleasure yourself or to turn on, right, exactly, right? Before the lube dries, like, right. So these conversations are some foreplay, if you will. to also, whether it's content warning, trigger warnings, whatever, fetishes that you don't know about, warnings, you're going to hear about it before you see it. We know people could fast forward. I do it all the time in porn.
Right.
So if you don't want
With
to
a
hear
lube
all that,
hand?
if you don't want to hear all that talking, that's fine. But
Yeah.
it being there is a tool that you can use towards foreplay. It's information that you can use, like, to educate yourself. It's language that you can mimic and to practice with another partner.
Mhm.
It's a way to send safe for work content. You know, for us as content creators, it's a way for us to advertise, you
Yeah.
know, what is to come. It's also a way for people to maybe share like this little clip without showing explicit content.
Mhm.
And then, you know, from a liability perspective, there are people who have been filmed without their consent, and they have been placed on the internet. They have been exploited. And it's important for us, you know, people talk about ethical porn, but other than a label, we don't know what that means. I don't know how to tangibly determine that something is ethical or not. And this is a way of visually seeing this person was able to articulate their desires. I was able to see the dilation or lack thereof in their eyes. They were not slurring, you know, all of these different things that a company like ours could be liable for if we weren't able to produce, and for us, this consent. This also is really helpful for us to talk about what we wanted, do the action, and then we have a conversation at the end to see if we met our goal.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal for our company is, did everyone feel safe? Did we accomplish this safely? That is our number one goal, and that safety goes from physical to emotional safety. And so that the beginning conversation, the middle, and the end is just like a pre and a post test, if you will. And I think that is important, even to hear, you know, where we get to apologize at the end sometimes because we didn't manage to keep that goal of a particular type of safety. Maybe someone, you know, accidentally got a tool got used that they weren't expecting or something along those lines, and we're able to say, oh, you know, you said that in the beginning and it got away from me in the middle. I just want to say I acknowledge that happened. I apologize if there's any, you know, like it gives opportunity for us to have a full experience, not just on set, but for the person that is at home, because we do, like King said, he is an exhibitionist. So those people at home that are watching are very much a part of that scene. And so this gives us an opportunity to have this full experience with them as well. We're not leaving you hanging with like, how did that end? We'll show you how it ended. They're laughing. They have this post-sex glow. They're still in close proximity to each other. Their body language still looks positive. They address the things that they feel like they may have missed or what have you. So to us, it's just giving a complete full experience that's both entertaining and educational.
I love that. I love that. And you can really see that. I mean, I want to encourage people to go to your site, join your membership and see, because it is relatively unique what you're doing to show and model. I mean, you know, some of the dialogue looks like, last time we were together, we tried this and it was new for you. You know, it's been a little while, you know, you know, how are you? You know, how how are you feeling? Do you want to try that again? Is there something that we did last time that you'd like to repeat? Is there something new that, now that we know each other a little bit better, you feel comfortable trying with me? Is there something like all of that I mean, that modeling, and then also during the action, you're engaging with each other and the other performers on your set similarly, where there's like a checking in and just kind of, and you know, again, in with levity and, you know, like, oh, okay, you know, there's that happened, like, let's just adjust a little bit. I mean, it's a really nice way for people to see within the realm of adult performance and the industry what they can extrapolate back into their own sex lives, because we know that communication often is the thing that people feel most awkward about, even though, you know, we can talk with people we barely know about, like, you know, where should we go for dinner and do you have any food allergies, but we don't, feel comfortable saying, what would you like to do when we fuck? And is there anything that you already know I should probably, not do, or is there a restaurant you've been wanting to go to and maybe I can take you there? Right.
I want everybody to ask me that when we're about to fuck. Is there a restaurant you want to go to? I'll take it both literally and I'll take it for the analogy.
I name continents. And he actually can map it out there. So,
say more,
restaurant.
say more about continents. And that's continents, not continents, right? We're not, maybe that too. We're peeing all over each other, but
No, I love that. Because let me kind of back up a little bit. We're talking about like doing other things, for us, I think personally, we get to have like they're like these stolen moments, right? Where we're a family, we work together, like lots of things going on. So when we have these pockets of time for our personal sex, it's like we're connecting like everything socially for us in that moment. It's just like all the joy that we had, all the 90% of the time that we've been together, it's like all of that is gonna come in that 10%. You being erect or not is like not what I am thinking about. It is really just like, oh, like we get to be close in some way. It doesn't even matter how, however, whatever orifice, or like it doesn't whatever tool we decide to do, like it is just so important that there is no one focus. The focus is on the joy of being together. And so I think that because we allow ourselves to feel comfortable and no pressure, then my body feels relaxed, and then I'm able to go like do whatever you want, like wherever you want to go in me, go, because like I don't feel pressured. I also kind of think about when y'all were talking about men not, or penis owners not wanting to change positions. I also felt like as a receiver, sometimes I might be repeating, and I'm not really so much with this person, but like I might be saying like a porn mantra, which is like right there, stay right there. That feels good. Yes, yes, yes. Right. And that could be misleading to somebody who is also like, I don't want to mess this up. So I think it's so important that we're talking about like this transparency and this honesty in our communication, and being careful of what communication we might be mimicking from somewhere else, because porn does sound very, very much like that feels good. Stay right there. Yes, baby. Oh my God.
Yes.
Right. And really, I feel, and this is like to the idea of continence, that when we're having sex, I'm just like, take me out of this world. I don't care where we go next. Go to, go anywhere in the world in my body. That's real. I don't want you to stay right nowhere. I want to go places, because we have 10% of this time right now. And I actually, that really feels more honest to me than the mantras that I think we've become accustomed to repeating because of the things that we've watched. So yeah, hearing that could be a pressure that I could have been putting on somebody as a receiver, is just like, oh, sorry, I thought that's what you wanted to hear.
Right. Well, I also, again, another thing I want to highlight, because one of the things that I'm super, super picky about when I'm watching porn is sound, right? It has to have the music has to be a turn on, and you've got good music when you have music going, and your sounds. I wrote a little note to myself, which was natural sounds, natural conversation. Like there wasn't anything that when I closed my eyes, I was like, oh, that just sounds like, porny. And so again, not only the top of the top of the play conversation, but also the way that you model and incorporate just natural sound, natural breath, natural conversation. Because I work with a lot of people, and I think this is a piece of where, I'm always on the mission of why is erectile function an international epidemic? why are we accepting that 50% of men at 50 no longer have a fully functioning body part of any part of their body? Why is this something that we just say, oh yeah, that's a thing, here's the medication? And what I see is that a lot of men, when they're in pleasure, whether it's because they learned about pleasure masturbating secretly, or they are afraid to make sound because the kids are in the house or whatever, but that sound, like the sound that men make is very curtailed, and then if you're not making and sound and moaning and saying yes and all of those things actually helps with blood flow, helps move blood through the body, can help with erection. But it's so I like also what you're saying, Jasmine, which is you can hear it might be like we have to monitor, am I making sound that is authentic for me, that right here that feels good, and allowing our partner, if with a penis, to be able to say, or even with a strap on or whatever, to be able to say, I'm so glad that you're feeling good, can we still make an adjustment soon? Right, that's okay, even in the action, to like be able to communicate that way. But I really, that's a piece that's coming up as you're saying that, because I'm one of those people where I'll say like, yes, stay there, but also I'm totally down to like, now let's flip it up if it's not working for you.
I just wanted to jump back to something that we said about during a porn set that people don't see. It gets edited out, and I think appropriately edited out for entertainment. But we'll say like, about how much longer do you feel comfortable in this position, right? So we are even communicating that, and I'm like, oh, like it feels good, like maybe 6-7 more strokes like that, and then or like my knees are good probably for another 30 seconds or so. So we can have these conversations at any time with anyone, and I just always also like to look at how we talk about our body in other areas of our life. Like we can use that. We already have the language. We could just bring it into another environment. So if we're playing sports or we're working out, we might say like, oh, I'll just be on the treadmill another 10 minutes. You can get on after me. We're sharing our limit, right? We already do it.
Is King the treadmill in this analogy? I mean, I say that only because, you are good. I mean, more just in terms of being able to say, I've had my turn, you're waiting. That's sometimes I'm going to be out here. I'll get off the treadmill in 10 minutes. Then you can have it.
He's like, find your way in. My workout lasts an hour.
Yes. Right. So let me switch gears a little bit and also sort of bridge this, because one of the other things that I wanted to bring up with you is something that I hear a lot, not necessarily from clients, but when I'm talking with other sex educators. This actually even came up this past weekend when I was talking with someone, which is what I hear a lot is, because of performance anxiety, because of the pressure, on the body, on the mind, it's really important that we tell the people who work with us, if we're coaches or therapists or educators, that porn isn't real, that what you're seeing isn't real, right? But my answer to that, and I'm curious what you two are going to say, is, well, the movement is very real. I mean, the what you're seeing as bodies in motion and humans in flow, that isn't fake. That's real. And the analogy for me is like when I watch an NFL game, I'm not saying that isn't real. I just know that maybe the way I play football is throwing a Nerf ball, at the park. I don't expect myself to be at NFL level, but I feel like, I guess for me as a performer, I feel like it takes a little bit away. When I'm looking at a ballet, I'm not saying that isn't real. I'm saying that's a different level of embodiment and being comfortable with an activity. And to me, sex is at its heart a movement activity, but we kind of dismiss it. So I'm curious from your perspective, kind of what you think about this porn isn't real way of thinking, and then what, as performers, as high level performers, what are things that we've touched on it a little bit, but like, what are the things that you do to help yourself be in flow state, get yourself prepared to be in a role, switch, like what you talked about earlier, King? I want to highlight this too, because, stress, like that element of, I'm coming from, I had to take this phone call and there's a leak in the plumbing and this just happened, but now I have to
My
show up
life.
and be present.
You know my life.
Did we share that over the last couple of
I do think it's important, and I think your analogy to sports is great because and I'll stick to football, right?
Okay.
When you're watching the NFL, you're watching people who spend every day training for, like, I saw this thing recently and I said to Jasmine, I was like, yo, Derrick Henry spends like $250,000 on his body a year, like to have nutrition, to have a trainer, to have a this, a that, da, 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 da. So when you go play football with your friends on Thanksgiving once a year, you're not Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's no reason to expect yourself to perform football at the level of a professional athlete who literally spends their entire life to be in that position and then spends countless amount of hours and money to maintain that position, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. Number two, porn is intentional. When you have a romantic moment with your partner and you're like, oh, we got a minute. Let's do something real quick. It's not the same as, hey, we've spent months casting, getting the wardrobe, preparing the set, speaking to the performers about what their hard limits are, what we're gonna shoot, devising a script in many situations, and then preparing the crew of 20 people to get the lighting right, to get the sound together. Every single thing that you're watching in most scenes is very, very intentional. The same as when you watch a movie, there's nothing that you're gonna see from the juice that they drink to what's playing on the television in a regular film, not even porn, is so intentional to make you feel a certain way as the viewer. That is not your sex life. Think of all that went through for that performance. You think somebody like our good friend Avery Jane just one day was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take 4 dicks in my ass. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna prep for it. I'm not gonna clean out. I'm not gonna, practice my stretching or have a butt plug or this, that, and the other thing to prepare I'm not gonna eat for a certain amount of hours and this, that, and the other, so that all that happens with anal when you don't prepare for it happens.
And recording.
And recording.
And recording, right.
And have a camera crew set up. No, it takes planning, it takes preparation, it takes training. So if you want to perform like your favorite performers, like your favorite entertainers, adult entertainer, adult performer, you have to train for it.
Exactly.
Also, some people, and this just is what it is, people are blessed with certain gifts. Some of our gifts are Derrick Henry to be able to stiff arm another giant human being across the field, and others are to take 4 dicks in their ass. But not only are our bodies blessed with this particular skill, we hone it, we refine it, we practice it, we train it. So it takes time to be able to do these things. All of our bodies are different. So what is yours? Are you spending the time? Like I tell clients who ask me about, being able to maintain an erection or being able to come on demand, which is one of my talents. I sit there and put a towel over my dick and do male kegels, make my dick do the jumps and all that so I can have control over my body.
Right.
That's not
Right.
just something that, I mean, maybe it's natural, but I've also refined it. I've also worked on it to be able to have control over my body, to understand what muscles in my body do respond to pleasure and make me want to climax. Okay, how do I pull back on that climax?
Mm-hmm.
How do I
Mm-hmm.
work on that? So
That's real.
Yeah.
it's
And
real.
that's
It's
real.
real as
No,
hell,
that's real.
but it's
Yeah.
real. It's real in a way that most people don't want to think about it being real.
Well,
People want to think
exactly.
about the reality of I show up, I do it, I can do all of the things
Mm-hmm.
whenever I want, but that's not how it works. You
Right.
do have to work at it. Same as any other skill, same as any other physical attribute and talent. You have to work at it. You have to refine it.
Mm-hmm. I love that you're bringing this up because this is my bread and butter is masturbation coaching because when I was trying to figure out like why do we have this erectile epidemic going on, and I realized again going back to this, the movement and sport analogy, like because people don't think of sex in the way that they think of every other physical activity. So when I have somebody who comes to me and says, well, first of all, like maybe I'm not having problems when I masturbate, but I'm having problems when I'm having intercourse with a partner. And I then have them show me, what it is, what are the movements, what are the stroke patterns, what are they doing when they masturbate? And I look at them and I'm like, there's nothing that you're doing that resembles intercourse. So,
Mm-hmm.
you can't get mad. The analogy I always use is you can't get mad at your penis if you're trying to be a gold medal high jumper on Saturday, but you've spent all week doing butterfly stroke in the pool. Like that's not fair. It's just not fair to your body to like then be like sending, like all those negative parenting messages, like you're not good enough and what's wrong with you and why didn't you show up and we had this plan and you didn't perform, but yet you haven't created the training. So I really appreciate that you're saying the training. And I also, although everything that you described about how much goes into creating a film, that's high level, that's work, that's art, but also that set and setting and create, and actually that it's okay to put energy in our personal sex lives into creating an atmosphere, creating an environment. One of the things I hear a lot is um, planned sex is less than spontaneous sex, right? That spontaneous sex is what it's supposed to be. And if we put it on the calendar, if we're making it a date, if we're thinking about it, that somehow is not real sex. And that I feel is something I just want to like blow up for people. So, you know, letting the imagination, if there's something that you saw in a film or something that you read in erotica or something that you've been thinking about and you want to create a mood. I know for me, like I can't have dirty laundry in front of me if I'm gonna, unless it's like unless it's a lift up my skirt and have a quickie. But otherwise, if this is going to be a long session, there can't be anything in the environment that's like gonna take my head to some other place because then I can't drop into that like flow state. Jasmine, you look like
I wanted to add one thing.
Blindfold. Go ahead.
I was gonna say too, like a lot of times I think with the erectile dysfunction kind of conversation around men, it's easy to blame porn because people are just like what you see, and then the things that we put in our body. Going back to the conversation about what I saw about athletes, if you're putting poison in your body, why do you expect your body to respond in a healthy way?
Yeah.
There's I mean, and it's all these factors. It's not like I think it's just one thing, but I do think people are like, yeah, I didn't get hard after a night of drinking fucking tequila or scotch or something like that. Like that's something that doesn't work well with your blood flow. Why would you expect your body to respond well to something that takes you out of the moment and makes you unresponsive to the moment that you're in? Or all the other terrible things that we eat and put into our bodies. Like if you treat your body well, It's another way to help your body to respond to the moments that you want it to be in. I don't know about to say something.
No, I had some to answer, to go back to the question. I wrote some notes because I don't want to forget, but love everything that we were sharing. I am very much like you, Erica. The visuals take me away, so I close my eyes a lot. And I had to get away from that, like, but eye contact, but look at somebody else, because I can't be here in that way. Because if I look at you, then if you move a little over, and then I see the TV, then fuck it, it's over.
Yep, it's over.
So, but that is, being able to like be okay with that, right? Like, I can't show up like that porn star because I want to have this experience, right? And in order for me to have this, I have sex the same way that I dance. It's like, I want my eyes to be closed because 9 times out of 10, I'm not in a club that smells and looks like this. I am in Cuba. Like,
right. Yes,
I'm with you, but we're just not in these 4 walls, So that to me is important, is like how to make sure that the visuals are not distracting. So planned sex is good for that reason. I just wanted to share, like porn, it is entertainment. But we do learn from entertainment, and that's okay. It's like, it's great to actually be inspired by something that is like so beautiful you think it's not real. I think it's a compliment. Like, yeah, it's shot so well you can't even believe that it's real, or we've practiced, or we've perfected ourselves to the point that it's almost like, it's, whether it's a dream state, it's a fantasy, it's not real, it's CGI, like all of these things. But it's fine, it's entertainment, and we can learn something from it. And so maybe what we learn is that we're inspired by it, or what would this look like? What would the do-it-yourself version of this look like? We do that all the time. We eat some shit at a restaurant, we're like, I want to try that at home. I don't want to go to culinary school or anything. So I might get a couple of like the pre-made seasoning or some shit, right? So that's our toys or our lube or our breaks or whatever that may look like. We
get yourself a sex chair.
Yeah, a sex chair, or the pillows that hold your body up, so that way you could do some of the things that you've seen. We use supports all the time when we're inspired by something and we want to do a version of it at home. And we don't have expectations that it's going to like taste and be plated like it is at the restaurant, but we can be satisfied with it, and we can feel really proud about our version of it.
Nice. Yes. Love that. That is, I'm just going to sit with that for a second because yum. All right. Here's a question. So going back to at the beginning with representation and just this whole like I don't see soft cock, and so that must not be good, or that must not be real. People don't really enjoy it. So I'm going to ask both of you. We're going to do a little freestyle here, a little erotica freestyle, which is, if you were scripting or designing a scene where it was soft cock forward, what would be some things that you would want to put onto the screen and put onto this table of, different things you've discovered that are fun to do with a soft cock?
I mean, everything is fun to do. Like, I don't really, erect penises there's things to do with them too. Generally, put them in, take them out, put them in and take them out. Like, that's great. That is fantastic. But everything else does not require an erect penis. Like, it doesn't have to be there to kiss. It doesn't have to be there to have oral sex either and or way.
Or to play nude volleyball.
It doesn't need it for that at all.
That's how my scene would start.
Yeah.
I'm back on that at that nude resort in Mexico, playing naked volleyball. That shit was so fun.
Yeah.
And I definitely wanted to fuck afterwards.
And I definitely wanted to fuck you afterwards too, because I was watching you play the nude volleyball, have fun. You were smiling. You were exerting all of this physical energy. The people were like smiling. They were so happy with you being happy. And it's just like, I want to fuck the guy that everybody wants to fuck out there.
My only concern
What's the saying?
Was not getting sand in my dick hole. And that would be the same whether it was soft or hard.
And then you would just pee, and then it would be fine. But mine would start with a massage, and no, don't be hard already, because I need like at least 30 minutes of that massage. Yeah. And you don't even have to be hard after, because I probably came within that 30 minutes of that massage. And maybe you did too, from body worship or touching my skin. You know, body rubs are great, and hard penises doing a body rub is actually not great. Yeah. Because you can't really get in there, you know, like the full pressure.
Because you might get sand.
Right. Penetrate me with my toys. I pick them. I know that they're good. I know exactly how I want them to work. I could just go on and on and on. Like that, I could only really think of a couple of things to do with your erect penis, but soft, like we could go all day.
Beautiful. Beautiful. There's a scene in one of your films that there's a moment, and I wanted to ask you about this, because there's something in it that I feel like maybe, this is the thing that I want to see if there's a transferable quality. Okay. So let me set up the scene. The scene is you're in there's a train, I guess is the best way to put it. And King is at the end, and at one end, and you're at the other. And there's, I think, maybe 3 or 4 people in between the two of you. And there's 4. And there's quite a bit of, and everyone sort of, I think it's mostly an oral train going on. And what you say, Jasmine, is you say, King, send me a message from down there. Pass me the message. So you're basically doing like that childhood game of telephone. And no, it's so playful. It was that's why I wrote it down. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so Jasmine right here. Like, it's so playful. But like, there was a moment where you were like, I got the message. And I'm really curious about like just this element, your relationship to sexual energy, right? We've been talking about the body and the body's mechanics in terms of performance, but that's something like, to me, that sounded like it was something different, because it's actually about how the energy and erotic energy is a connector or a disconnector if it's not there. But I'm just, I'm throwing that one at the two of you.
Thank you for sharing that, because it made both of us smile and remember. I'm like, oh yeah, I think it was. I think I knew who was right here. So I am really, really, really turned on by, we could be doing a lot of things, and it doesn't even have to be sex, but that we can connect. And it's like, okay, like whatever that check-in moment is, it's very grounding. I feel, I mean, this might sound a little bit creepy, but it's like almost like like I feel embodied in him. Like if he's having sex or a moment of intimacy and I can check in, it's almost like we're enjoying that, right? Or I'll come tap you out in a couple seconds, right? We're communicating. And so I don't know when the first time we had this experience was, when the first time we had this experience, but saying like, I want to feel how King is fucking you, whoever the person was in between. They're very important. I just can't remember their name right now. And feeling that person respond differently. And it was, you know, I know that you must have either maybe you did something different, but it gave them a chance to interpret what they were feeling and then share that feeling with me. Or it gave them an opportunity to role play and do something novel for me so I could have some more dopamine, like you mentioned. And it really is a dopamine feeling. So I think in sharing that with King, it's like, I want to connect with you right now. I know we have all these other people, but talk to me, because that is going to increase my arousal. And whatever shift happens, and you really do feel the shift, that's the coolest part. It's for me. This is me directing my pleasure. Like, I want a change to happen right now. And instead of breaking up the whole train, I'm just going to ask King, who I know can manipulate his movement, can send a wave through somebody's body in such a way that it'll inspire them to change their chemistry with the person in front of them, the person in front of them, then me. So,
Beautiful.
what is it for you? Because that's obvious, more than I even thought it was, honestly.
I like to see how that person will interpret, and I like to see how Jasmine responds to it. So, like, especially like, I can think of a couple times that you said that, and it usually is I'm fucking someone and they're eating your pussy. So, how to move in them to make their head and their mouth kind of, this is gonna sound crazy.
Okay.
But it's like my dick is puppeteering them.
Yeah. I was just about to say it. We're
So it's kind of like,
just saying, thinking that.
So it's like how, like, because I don't want to stroke them in a way that they're not going to be focused no more, or that they're going to respond in a different way other than how I want them to communicate it to you.
Yeah.
No, I think we've also done this together with telling another partner to write us a love letter with their tongue. And you could tell the difference of somebody just trying to make a sentence out, and then that starts to go from their tongue to their body. You know what I mean? They're really trying to share this message with you. And we do communicate mostly with our body. So giving somebody permission to communicate even more with their body is like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Beautiful. And let me take this in another, I want to just go one layer deeper with this. Cause again, as we're talking, I'm thinking about like, oh yeah, this is something that I hear a lot or see a lot. So what I see is a lot of people who have a penis when they really, either when they're concerned about their erectile function or when they lose erectile function, then they tap out completely, or they really tap into, I get pleasure being a giver. I get pleasure knowing that I'm giving pleasure. But sometimes what I see is that they become so orally fixated, and none of the energy of what they're doing with their mouth translates down to the penis. It's almost like the penis isn't invited to the party. It's just a mouth party. And I'm curious, especially King, because you talked earlier about when we were talking about like, what are the things that help you when you have to kind of go up and down in the course of a day, and your response was, oral. That like just keeps me going. And I think, so I'm curious, like, do you have something that you've developed for yourself that someone else could learn in terms of when you're giving oral, how you have the sensation not just stay, localized to the only thing that's happening right here, right? But that your whole body, that your dick is like, ooh, that's the mouth of my, that, like the puppeteering, like the mouth is the mouth of my dick, right? That my dick isn't just, it might be chill, but it's still connected.
Honestly, the times that I have, like, maybe my penis has checked out and then I'm getting back into it, is when I really just focus, like, what does this pussy taste like, or how do her lips feel on my lips, or I don't know, am I feeling her clit get more engorged, or am I feeling her juices on my face? And usually that's what will get the rest of my body going. Because it is like, I'm feeling my partner get turned on, which is a turn on for me.
Yeah.
Or I'm feeling them get pleased, so it's a turn on for me. But I would say in those kind of situations, like if all you're thinking about while you're performing oral on your partner. If you keep focused on your own body when you're trying to please somebody else, then you're not in that moment anymore. And then I think it does kind of put that pressure, like why is what I'm doing to someone else not getting me hard or whatever. So I wouldn't say that, even though the idea of having a dick mouth is really intriguing. I do like that idea. I do think, you know, feeling pleasure and arousal on a different part of your body can then alleviate the pressure that you were putting on yourself down on, like putting on your penis. So it's kind of like, oh, I'm feeling all this pleasure up here, and just allowing the pleasure to flow through everywhere else. Like, just imagine that pleasure being the blood flow that's going there. Is I think a good way to think about it.
That's nice. Yeah. Thank you. That's really great.
But I just share some physical observations that I see. Like, your hands are still very active. Also, while like I could feel like squeezing of my thighs, reaching up to my breasts, putting my hands in different places that feel maybe that you want pressure or touch. Sometimes you'll reach down and stroke yourself. So, I mean, you're also very active outside of, as Erica said, outside of your big mouth.
Yeah, that or even, and this is where, kind of going back to what you said about setting the environment and setting your set, right? What do you like to fuck on? So whether it's satin sheets or a cold kitchen counter, you know, like we all have other sensations that our body enjoys. So like when I'm like, I like fucking on not strange objects, but I like fucking on places besides just a bed, because like if I'm eating you out on the kitchen counter and I feel my hips pressed on like a cabinet, as I get more erect, I feel that on my dick, which also makes me more intensely aroused, because now I'm also feeling like that pushback and that pressure on my penis as well. Or not even just that, like, so you were talking about like acrobatics and stuff, right? I like to be in positions that also strain certain parts of my body, but that also helps me personally, like blood flow wise. So like if I'm eating pussy and I'm planking at the same time, like I start to feel my body gets tighter, my blood starts going to all those different areas and flowing around. So then if I come out of that plank and then start stroking myself, then there's more blood that's just going to go right there, because all that blood was already moving. And I can't say that I thought of that in any kind of like, hey, this will do this to me. But I do know that I feel that rush of blood. Or if you're sitting on my face, or also now, like the idea of like when you, so like I'm trying to drown in pussy. I'm trying to drown in pussy. Nothing. So like if I can't breathe and I'm like fully in there, right?
Yeah.
Then when I come out, like that blood, that flow, it feels so good. And even if my dick is not getting hard because of that, the rest of my body feels really fucking good during that shit.
Mine too. It's very pleasurable. See, still don't need the dick.
Mine too, just listening to you. Right.
I mean, and I found that it's with oral in general, because like even if I'm sucking dick and I'm trying to get all the way back and I'm like, you know, and then I come out, like there's like that relief that flows through my entire body that is such a fucking turn on, that it really, oh yeah, my dick's hard too.
Yeah. No, I really, I so appreciate you saying this, because it's also, mean, first of all, one of the things that you're highlighting is, I often say that one of the things that I've seen as part of what's going on with, with erections is that we have, like we said, like 90% of the time, your dick is just kind of like tucked into your pants, maybe to the side, kind of along for the ride, and also not allowed to be present, right? Like, God forbid, you see something beautiful or smell something delicious or whatever, and you actually allow your body to fully respond. You're not supposed to do that in the middle of the, Nordstrom's or whatever. So, it's like not, the dick isn't allowed, and then sex becomes only about the dick and not about the entirety of self. And, one of the things that I try to do is encourage people to think of sex as this is the only place that we are actually allowed, whether self or with others, to be 100% fully embodied. It's why I like doing sexological body work and why I love, sex in general. Is like, oh, I can like from my toes to my head, from my ears to my elbows, like all of me gets to like be present, gets to be engaged, and gets to like have build and then just like release, right? It's so therapeutic that way. But that's not the way a lot of people think about sex. And what you just said, I want to encourage people who are watching and listening to really take that like it's like, let yourself notice. It's the proprioception, right? Is what we would call it. Like, oh, what's underneath me? What's behind me? This isn't just blank air between us. Like that I can feel the molecules that are in the spaces in between, and that can help really keep arousal flowing as well. So delicious.
I had a blooper thought that came through my head. It's from one of the recent scenes that I had shot that I was directing with Amelie Hart and Ruby Halia. We're outside shooting a scene, and we're literally in the act. And I think this is where actually directing and setting the set has helped me as a partner be better in recognizing my own turn-ons and feels, right? So like we're outside and it's at this like nudist home where we're shooting. And there's this chair that's really fucking annoying in my peripheral vision. And they're recording, and literally during the scene, I grab this chair. I grab this chair and move it out the way. And I'm like, we can cut that out later. I'll handle it in post. And everybody just started cracking up. Like, how are you thinking about that while we're doing this? And it's because that chair was really fucking bothering me. And it was bothering me because I know where the camera was positioned and the camera person wasn't recognizing it. And my director brain was like, I can't CGI this chair out of here.
It's not real.
It's really bothering me. And then I moved it and I'm like, my whole body felt a relief because I'm thinking like how you were saying about the TV being on or the pile of laundry and things like that, right? So in these moments of these things that will take us out of our space, because I clearly wasn't thinking about fucking and being beautiful while fucking at that moment. I was thinking this ugly ass, rusty ass lawn chair is in the way of our shot and our beauty right now, right? And I do think like just think about that in your own personal life of the things that will take you out of your space. And it made a great porn blooper, but trust me, it would have ruined the whole shoot and my pleasure if that thing was in there. And it would have also ruined my after pleasure as well. Because when I was editing it, I'd have been so upset that nobody removed it, right? So like I think how you talk about like the molecules that are there, the things that are there that bring us together, like set your space and be in that space, like fully dive in to that space, and it will completely help you not it's almost like if you're focusing on fixing the space, you're focusing on setting the space. You're focusing on the pleasure of your partner. You're focusing on the music, the smells, the taste, the flavor of the moment. You are not focused on worrying about whether your dick is hard or not.
Exactly.
And if it doesn't, you've taken care of all these other amazing, beautiful things that now the shit is fly anyway.
Yeah.
You don't even have to worry about all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And all of that is true as you're saying that too. It's also true in terms of like playing with yourself, you know, that if you're uninspired with your masturbation, you know, look at am I not, you know, setting a space for myself that turns me on, and you know, as opposed to I'm just going to open up the computer and I'm going to expect, you know, these people that I'm watching to do it for me, or I'm turning on this toy and this toy is supposed to do it for me, but and then get frustrated if at your penis, or you know, if it's not happening, to look at these other possibilities of, are there other things that are getting in the way that make it so that my mind can't relax? And you know, again, athletes and actors and dancers, we all know that, you know, the goal is to get to flow state, to get to the place where you're not thinking, am I going to make the shot? You just shoot, right? And your mind watches the ball and kind of helps direct it. And you have that sense of, but the moment, I always think when I used to play pool, it was my daily meditation when I had a pool table, because I'm like, this is the best fucking way for me to show myself. Can my mind stay present? Because the moment I start to shoot and I think about anything other than where that ball is going, the ball doesn't go where I want it to go, right? Because the thought has interrupted. And the same thing with sex. I find like the moment that my head comes in and is like looking from above, unless I'm in the role of I'm both performer and I'm director and I'm also working the camera and the sound. So that's like a whole other thing, right? Where you have to be able to get into a head flow state where you're playing all these roles, but you're still staying aroused. But yeah, keeping the head from being distracted.
Did you ever see 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you know that scene where he sets up his masturbation in 40-Year-Old Virgin?
I barely remember.
Okay, I always think about that because people always said that was like the funniest part, and people kind of like made fun of it. But like in the thing, he like sets his music, he sets his lotion, he sets the lighting, he got candles, he made himself like a romantic state just for himself. And it's like when you think about it, if you can do that for yourself in a moment for masturbation, you will take yourself to wherever that fantasy is or that moment of that pleasure for yourself.
I wanted to just jump in because I think like these are all amazing tips. But again, like these are things that you've kind of worked on learning, like this works for me. And so, you know, if this is like your first time hearing this, it might take a couple of times. Like you really do have to train our brain, which is our muscle, to like make those shifts, right? To be present when that literal ball is going in, right? Or to think like, oh, desire. I do like candles, right? We need to like try some of these things out to even know if I'm going to get the benefit of doing some of these things. So it's like, it's okay that this is a part of the experiment of exploring yourself. And just like if you get distracted, it's still okay. Like you made an attempt. That's good. Desire was there. You know, I felt really turned on. And then it's like sometimes we could just stay focused on the and then. But for me, I'm just like, I can still get turned on. Okay, thank you, God, because life is stressful. So
Yes.
thanks.
Right.
I love the tingle. Yes. You know, even if I couldn't execute all these other things, that still having desire means that I can, you know, I can find, I'm always actively finding something new to turn me on, or even sometimes like what used to work doesn't work. I might need to change the genre of porn that I'm watching, or pay for the goddamn subscription so I can see the whole thing.
Right.
Or maybe I need some live interaction, you know, so maybe that's like sexting before watching something, so I could feel a different type of connection, like a number of things. But
call me on Sex Panther, I got you.
Yeah, you know, like things like that, where as I'm trying these different things out, I'm also accounting for the fact that they may not work perfectly this time. And that is not a failure. It really is just another attempt at trying something new to be able to put into your bag of these things don't work, these things do sometimes, or like I got this far. Awesome.
Yeah.
You're a Hall of Fame baseball player if you hit the ball 3 out of 10 times.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm a
That's
superstar.
great.
I'm like,
I know. Right.
Yo, if you hit 300 in baseball, you working your way to the Hall of Fame if that's your career.
Wow.
So not to say that you have to put any kind of pressure on yourself in that way, but like we've been working with the sports analogies, but it's just like, you know, it's okay. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have a day when you're recognizing within yourself that you are not turned on or you're not available for sex. And I think that there is a lot of pressure on men that you are always supposed to be ready and available for sex, and if you're not, then you are not a man anymore.
Right.
And that's, I don't know, I don't know where it came from, where it started, but it's time that people start letting go of that.
Beautiful. Well, that is where we will. That's a perfect look at that. Right at the minute, at the hour 30 mark, you gave us our woo. Okay, so thank you so much. How do people get more of you?
Open wider.
open their wallets wider.
Hi, mother.
It's good. What is it called?
Oh, flashback humor?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You want me to run them down?
I'll run them
Yeah,
down.
run them down.
Right. So go to Royal Fetish XXX.com for all of our content. You can stream it. It's like Netflix, but better. It's Sexflix. You can also go to JetSettingJasmine.com and you can find out about our events. You can find out about our fetish training, sex coaching, and links to all other things that you can actually look at that one in a safer workspace. You can find me also at King Noire on Twitter, The Real King Noire on Instagram. And yours is
JetSetting Jasmine, TM, as in trademark, on Instagram, and JetSet Jasmine on Twitter.
Yes.
Great.
And
Good.
also you can find us both on Fansly and a couple of other spots, Sex Panther and all that good stuff. Google us and you will find so much more.
Find us at your local universities, your health, public health conferences, your porn literacy workshops, conferences.
DVDs are available in stores.
Right.
And also,
Exactly.
you can also watch us on demand in your
Mhm.
favorite hotel or resort or
toys.
cruise ship. You can put our toys inside when you open up wider.
Yes.
Yes. You have retreats that you offer people. You
We
have.
do. Come party with us.
Exactly.
Oh, and relax.
And relax with us.
Yes. And you're also really paving the way in terms of representation in the adult industry and really changing the way people are thinking about what the industry has been and what it has yet to become. And you're really pioneering some new vision and understanding. And I really want people to support you in all of these wonderful ways. So thank you so much for being part of Dangling Dick, Soft Cock, Phallus, Flaccid Phallus, and all of the different things that we are celebrating this week and moving onward. And thank you again, JetSetting Jasmine, King Noire. I'm Erica Leroy, your hostess, and we will see you again. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. So